All right, so in this video, I'm going to answer one of the questions that came up during a coaching session with my client. So he was asking me, how do I get to do the things that I tell myself I'm gonna do? And this is a pretty profound question because you would think, right, you're working on a personal project, you're doing things that you enjoy, that are intrinsically rewarding, and yet there is still that piece of resistance. He was asking that question in regards to sleeping habits. So he has this tendency of oversleeping in the morning instead of setting up the alarm and going at it. He was also mentioning that he experienced some kind of resistance towards strength training and going at the gym. So here is the answer that I gave him, and it is threefold. So the very first thing that I told him is to always show up. This is my motto. I use it very consistently on my Instagram page. I really like that principle of showing up regardless of how I feel, regardless of my life situation. I'm always going to create some time for myself, and I'm going to do the things that I want to at a time that I have preset for myself. So set up a schedule, block some time out, and then for each of the single tasks that you have, regardless of it being you working for someone else, you working for yourself on a personal project, in artistic pursuits, or wanting to hit the gym, going for the training sessions, uh, make sure that you set a specific time and you show up at that time regardless of any kind of performances. This is the first thing that you want to do, is attend your duties, attend your personal project. Make a habit of showing up. High or low energy doesn't matter. That you feel hyped, that you feel excited, joyful, or you feel a bit sad, you feel a bit depressed, you feel a bit angry, things are not going your way. This is the very first step. You have a time and you show up for yourself. That's number one. And this is a habit that I cultivated as a BMX rider, and I was a competitive BMX rider as well. So if you want to succeed in any kind of competitive endeavors, uh, you need to show up regardless. First, you build mental toughness because you never know what's going to happen at an event. You're going to feel good or bad. You can never tell. You're going to have a good or a bad day. You can never tell either. So it's always the habit of showing up no matter what. And honestly, I've had some of my best riding BMX session and workflow sessions when I had low expectations and I was not overhyped. I was not overexcited about the work. I just showed up and things just started flowing together and coming together, and I had some of my best sessions. The second point that I touch is to set yourself up for success by using all the available elements that are going to increase your drive and your motivation towards the accomplishment of your goals and the accomplishment of your single tasks, whether it's your personal project or your work. So we were doing a flow state coaching session, and when I coach people, we build routines and we use flow triggers. So the triggers are all the elements that are gonna increase your motivation, increase your drive, stimulate dopamine production, which is the feel good hormone, and which is helping you moving in the world. So I gave him the example of my basic morning routine, which is waking up with my phone farther away from hand's reach. So it rings, it's annoying, it's out of my range. So I need to get out of bed. And when I get out of bed, it's colder outside of the bed sheets. So first it's like waking me up, it's getting me into action, and then what do? I go straight in the shower and I do my morning gratitude practice, And then once I get out of the shower, then the water on my body makes me shiver a little bit because it's cold outside. So this is further waking me up. Then I brush my teeth. I help my girlfriend with her scooter, which is a ritual I developed in the Netherlands. And then I come back up and I do a 20 minutes meditation. And then I crank my beat. This is a flow trigger. Uh, this is creating a rhythm, is getting me in a nice groove, and then I start writing. But where does that come from? Years ago, I went to Mexico to see if I would like to become a digital nomad, if it would be a good fit. So I started implementing that kind of routine back then. This is years on end of practice. So I was telling him all of that. Like, it doesn't happen spontaneously by magic. You got to put the work in. You set yourself up for success. You show up for yourself. You don't give yourself a choice, but you implement the routines, you use the triggers, everything that gets you to work. If it's a cup of coffee, an hour after waking up, that gets you in your groove, use it. To me, it's music. I made a habit of working sober as well. So figure out what are your routines. Just keep it very, very simple. It doesn't have to be overcomplicated. It doesn't have to be long. They're just elements that you stack one after the other that are leading you in the right direction. And once you rehearse them long enough, they become a habit and it turns into a reflex. Boom, it primes you into your work. You associate all these actions with the work. You associate all of the triggers, the specific elements that are priming you with the work that you have to do or with the training sessions. So the more you rehearse your routines and the more you integrate your triggers, the easier it is for you to get to do the work that you intend to do for yourself. And in order to figure out my triggers and the routines that were gonna facilitate my online work, I dug into my BMX career. I had to look into what worked back then. So I encourage you also to seek the overlaps from the things that you've implemented in the past, in the disciplines that you like. What exactly do you do that works when you're very passionate about something, and how can you integrate that into some other work that might be a little bit less motivating at the onset or is always offering some kind of resistance? For instance, I studied my BMX game. I studied how I went to my riding sessions and all the triggers and all the elements that were present. And I rode BMX for 18 years, 10 out of which I did compete worldwide. So I needed some kind of discipline. I needed to show up to do the work regardless. And this is where this set of habit of showing up and of possessing a set of routines and of triggers come from, which I then eventually transferred into work and which I now have mastered throughout the years. The final point that I want to touch is make the behavior the habit and make the habit a reflex. You have to do it long enough. You have to go to your discipline until it becomes your new home. You have to go so many times for such a long period of time that it feels weird not showing up. Like, you're gonna become a different person. You're gonna cultivate a different set of specific habits and work output that you didn't have before. And now, when it's gonna be missing or you're gonna be slacking just a slight bit, something is not gonna feel quite right in the moment, and you're gonna wonder what's going on right now. And then it's gonna hit you. My discipline, my work, my showing up has become so ingrained and so part of myself that when I stop doing it, when you stop doing it, it's gonna start feeling completely weird and you're gonna feel like you're off the rails, like something is not right. So do it. Whatever you do, make a habit of showing up, implement your routine, implement your triggers, and do it long enough and consistently enough that when you stop doing it, it feels weird. Okay, so just a quick example of how it operates in everyday life when you do something for long enough that it feels weird not doing it. So I went to Peru on a traveling journey with my partner, and even as we were traveling, I was doing online training, and I was also working for myself. I'm working on a big project right now, and it makes me feel fulfilled just to at least do one flow block, which represents about an hour and a half to 2 hours, 5 to 6 days a week, even as I'm traveling. And I always hit the gym. So we went together, we hit the gym. Whenever I do these two things in a day, I feel fantastic. Even though I was traveling and I couldn't have the same output, it felt fine. But right before going on the plane, and the last day, I got food poisoning. And that threw me out of my workflow. Like, it was terrible. Everything went out with the food poisoning. Like, I had to go to the bathroom repeatedly. I couldn't hold anything. Uh, it was terrible. Like, I lived in China for 7 years and I've never had it that bad. Anyways, um, prior to that, I was so hyped about going back home because my work and my training sessions make me so fulfilled. You have no idea. Within the last week, I pulled everything possible from mini training sessions, just like deloading percentage, like half the intensity, half the volume. Just get back to the gym is the first thing. It reminded me of like the beast that I feel like when I hit the gym. So first, I had this energy revived after a few days out, and then that told my body to reset, to get back into its normal habits, its normal eating habits. And eventually, I was able to start putting in a little bit more work, not a lot. I was experiencing a lot of brain fog. I have to recover properly. I went to walk in nature. I meditated more, but I nonetheless started incorporating more and more work, and I started training more intensely as the week went by. But this is just to show you how powerful your habits are and how they determine the person that you are as well. I cannot imagine a week without training or working at least on personal projects. There is a quality of life and there is a quality of being that comes with my training sessions and with my workflow, my personal project workflow sessions that is not there when I don't execute those things, when I don't perform those activities during the week, during my everyday life. So pay attention to that and make sure that you do your things consistently enough and long enough that when you don't attend those things, the quality of your life changes. All right, so remember those 3 key points. If you want to accomplish the things that you tell yourself you're going to do, always show up for yourself. Set up a schedule, set up a game plan, and make sure to be there right on time every single time that you tell yourself you're gonna be there. This is the first step. No matter what, show up. Second thing, use every single elements available to you to your own benefit, whether they are triggers, it could be music, it could be a cup of coffee, they could be your routines, they could be other things that you've implemented in the past in other disciplines. Use everything that you can and set yourself up for success. And finally, make sure to repeat that behavior, to repeat those sessions consistently and long enough that they become a habitual thing, that you repeat them week in, week out. And then you turn those habits into a set of reflexes. And when you do not perform those things, you're going to feel that something is missing and that something is off. So implement those things and see results. If you feel like you could benefit from some one-on-one coaching and you need personal assistance to realize the things that you set for yourself, and you still experience a lot of resistance, you don't know where to start, and you want to materialize your dreams, you want to achieve your goals, then by all means, reach out on Instagram at Jasonist. I will leave my account's name in the description below. Feel free to come and talk. Let's see where we can take